everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Marie Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry, trying to work the board at the edge of the Great Red Divide from our separate studios in rural
Socially
Illinois.
distantly acceptable.
Yes, we are socially distancing, practicing all the good procedures that Governor J.B. Pritzker has given us to do. So, as we behave ourselves, we wanted to invite you to catch us on the Demcast Network and Heartland Mamas, MAMAS
MAMAS
dot
dot
com.
com.
And today we're going to talk, Marie, about the social disparities that brought us COVID. Even though we keep saying we're not going to do another COVID show, the thing that we have to understand right now is that the balance of power is shifting because of the people high up in the world that are sick, the people who have died here in the United States, and the disparities between the haves and the have-nots, which is even more rampant than ever. I mean, after our president came out and said, "Oh, who would have known that many people don't have health care?"
And how long
Duh.
has he been president? Again, too
Uh,
long?
and
Our
he,
lifetime,
yeah,
right?
yep. I mean, only took him this long to become a mass murderer by not doing anything. So let's talk first, Marie, about some of the famous people, how we got here. How did we get this transmission so quickly, Marie?
Well, one of the biggest reasons that we did is because we're a global society.
We are.
And in that, we have conferences, businesses, meetings, but we also have a lot of travel. And
Yep.
the travel doesn't necessarily happen for the common person. It doesn't necessarily
Nope.
happen for me. I don't travel. I don't go skiing for a week in France where the outbreak was beginning at the
Yes.
same time it was in China, and we tend to
Right.
forget that. I'm not vacationing in Rome, and it's part of being global. But keep
Mhm.
in mind that those folks who are more likely to be in those
Globetrotters.
situations where they're traveling, yes,
Yeah.
globetrotters,
Uh huh.
will come back,
Right.
and then
Dragging the
what are they
virus
going to do?
behind them.
Yes.
And see, that's the thing that I noticed, Marie, is at the very beginning when the president was calling this a hoax, it was all those globetrotters that were trotting all over the globe and bringing it back here to the United States, to France, to Germany, to Spain, to Italy, to Brazil. All of those things happened, and in the meantime, our president's calling it a hoax, and he's not doing anything about it. And people said
Well,
to him,
no, Heidi, you made a brilliant point right there. It's that all of these people were going all around the world
mm-hmm,
and spreading the virus without knowing it,
right,
because again, we've talked about, it was sort of a world that's not Western European ideology, so it can't happen to us. It can't
yes,
happen to Western white world. So, folks are gallivanting around the world, just continuing in their lives, and the response was horrible. But what's even more frustrating is these folks don't realize that if they did get sick, when they did get sick, their doctors have better understanding of the virus. They
mm-hmm,
have friends in higher places.
right,
So more people may be getting sick that are related to them, which are again in higher places.
mm-hmm,
But they also are going to be getting medication and treatment. And
yes,
in the
respirators,
beginning
ventilators,
of in the beginning of the epidemic, even,
mm-hmm, yeah.
as they came back and infected folks, they were sort of the first wave.
Well, and somebody asked me today, why do you think it was so long before the world took it seriously? Well, the world was taking it seriously, but the world has kind of looked to the United States to handle this stuff. We handled H1N1 swine flu. And that originated here in the States. We handled Ebola. We've handled so many different influenza outbreaks and other outbreaks
Well,
over the
I just
years.
have to stop you right there, because if
Yeah.
any country was looking to the United States for any sort of guidance in the last 3.5 years,
Well, they didn't
they are
get it.
seriously screwed.
But
Because with this thing coming up, the last place any nation should have looked to
no,
was the leadership of the United States. Let's be honest here.
but
I've
I
kept
don't
it
think
under a rock for the last 3 years to go, oh, the Trump administration is not entirely corrupt and is actually going to do something helpful for the world.
Well, they didn't. I don't think the world realized that he had dismantled our complete CDC and pandemic outreach activities. I don't think any of us realized until it was too late. And so many of those things were put in place, even, you know, everything since Woodrow Wilson and the Spanish flu, right? So, and it ramped up and got better and improved. And even W, who I just cannot stand, the war president, the
Me
wars we're
either.
still in, he had a really good response to preventing a global pandemic. All of those things were dismantled under Trump, and no one really knew the extent to his stupidity until now. I mean, every day since he was elected, I've said he's the stupidest man on the planet, and every day he proves that he is even stupider than I
Can
even
we
thought.
can we all agree to stop saying the hold my beer? Can we all agree that? Because
I hate that. I hate
karma
that
is
phrase.
meeting that challenge every single time.
It's well, and it's
You
like
know,
every time I say things
let's
just
not
can't
tempt
get
her.
worse, they do. So I try not to say that, and yet I just said it about our president because he's a complete ass. So
Right?
here's what happened: is these people came back, those that weren't sick decided here in the states to go on spring break, and they went to Florida. You know, something really interesting about Florida. Not only do they are they saddled with
Have the worst governor ever.
Rick DeSantis, a complete and total moron. But also, 17% of Florida does not have health insurance, Murray. And most Floridians are in service jobs. So they don't have benefits or they're part of the gig economy, most of the workers there. So,
Heidi, you just mentioned something that was that's twofold here about the situation we're in. And as we're talking about the affluent and going on vacation,
mhm.
and we talk about those who are affected and impacted by that, we also have to look at the leadership in the nations. Okay, China was wrestling with I guarantee they were wrestling with what a huge economic force the Chinese New Year is for them.
Right, right,
And knowing that this is hitting and taking a guess as to will it be that bad or won't it be that bad, we could hope, best case scenario, we could hope that they had said, let's hope for the best.
right.
Worst case scenario, they didn't know how bad it would be, but they
Same,
knew it would be bad and chose to do it anyway.
same thing
Which
with
is why,
Brazil and
yep.
Carnival, you
And
know?
same thing with spring break
And
down
Mardi
in
Gras,
Florida.
all of those
Yes,
big economic drivers. And instead of
yes.
saying, you know what, maybe we should just not do it this year, they went ahead and did it. And it
Mhm.
helped ramp up this virus exponentially.
So then
Exponentially.
everybody leaves these places and they go home
Yeah.
and they start to hear about all these cases exploding, particularly
Like
in
a chem
urban areas,
like a
right?
chemtrail across the country. Here they
Right,
go.
but you know
Spread virus.
you're not seeing on the news the smaller towns. It
Yeah.
gets referred to as the city. It gets referred to as those are places which most notably 100% have hotspots
Right.
because of density. But you have these affluent folks who have been in contact with the virus, who haven't had any, and they're thinking to themselves, hey, let's get out of the city because there's so many people. Let's go to a vacation home. Let's go to our vacation home.
Right.
Let's rent a place
Mm-hmm.
in these residential tourist communities. And it ties into exactly what
Exactly,
those
Murray.
major event states are
I
doing.
I just
But
read an article on like Verbo and Airbnb, and people are going to the Hamptons because it's off season, or Big Sur because it's off season, or they're going to these little coastal communities off of Georgia and Florida where they think they're going to be safe, and they're just dragging the damn virus with them. So, and since these rural communities have lesser health care, these people are putting more pressure on the local infrastructure. They're taking services away from the locals. It's
and
disgusting.
and not even just the health structure.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's abysmal in and of itself. As we
Mm-hmm.
talked about, where I grew up and where you live, you've got a geographic center, and then you've
Mm-hmm.
got about a 30-mile radius around, and you have two hospitals, a third. I'll tell you, there are not nearly enough beds. Any
No.
critical patients get taken to Joliet or Peoria. Joliet hospitals are full, and that's an hour to an hour and a half drive to either one of those locations for anyone who's
Yes.
critical. So now,
Yeah.
and we're not even talking about that part of it. I mean, I'm even thinking about, so, that these touristy towns or towns that thrive on tourism at high seasons,
Yes.
they know they get more products in, the businesses ramp up for what they know is going
For
to be a
in
big season.
season, just like where I
So
live,
you're
there's a lot of campgrounds, and how the businesses prepare for high season at the campgrounds is a lot different than how they are even right now. So when they
so they
go,
don't have the
they
supplies.
they
They
don't
haven't
have,
made the
no,
orders.
they haven't bought extra toilet paper for those that are going to hoard. They produce more garbage, more waste, more feces, more urine into they add to the system, the collection systems, and a lot of those things aren't fully online in off season. So all of a sudden you have all these people pouring in, and they're going to be buying up a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of resources, and using up resources and using up, things that are there for the townspeople. And it's small towns. It's like some of these towns go from a couple hundred or a couple thousand people to 30, 40,000 people in the high season. So right now they don't have a lot. It's like going to Mackinac Island. There's nothing there in the winter, and then in the summer, 40,000 people show up. So
Yep.
when they have, this influx of people, not only that, but you have cleaning crews that have to come in and clean up after them. If somebody is staying in your short-term rental for a month or 6 weeks, they're making a big frickin' mess. They are, because it's not their house, so they're not taking care of it like you would. That's just how it is. That's the real. I have so many of my friends have verbos, and they're like, it's unbelievable how bad people are. Even with a cleaning deposit, they'll sacrifice that so they don't have to clean
Oh,
up.
I'm sure.
So that's what rich people
So
do.
you know what some of the towns are doing?
Hmm.
Some of the towns that have a high percentage of vacation rentals are adopting legislation, temporary legislation, stating that they're injunctioning all
Yeah,
vacation rentals right now
Paris had
to
to do
help
that.
slow people coming in.
Yeah, Paris had to do that too, because so much of downtown Paris, France, is very much dedicated to short-term rentals, and they had to put a stop to it too because they couldn't control the spread of the virus, and because of France's healthcare system. You bring in a lot of people that are from out of the country or out of the area, and it puts extra burden on the social services in that area. So I totally agree with you. And I'd like to get back to a little bit about living rural, because living rural, people say, well, Heidi, I wish I lived like by you, because I'd be able to have, be able to stay away from everybody. Yeah, you stay away from everybody, but then you have to go into town sooner or later. You're going to have to go into town. I had to go get fuel for my tractor the other day and feed at the feed store. I'm standing there in front of the feed store. I'm the only person, Murray, with a mask on. The only person at the feed store, which is right next to a liquor store, which no one was practicing social distancing. No one was masked. No one had gloves
Now
on.
that's interesting, and this is a good
It was
point
Friday night.
about the message getting pushed really slower, because Steve went out today to Sam's to get essentials because we had no food to cook for some of our meat and things, and he said about 60% of the people had gloves. 60% of the people working at Sam's had gloves and masks.
Yes.
About 40% of the people not working there were wearing masks. 40% of the customers that were there had masks and or gloves on. So that's kind of interesting that you said that this was Friday and the
Friday
governor
night.
came out on Friday during the day and said it would be a strong suggestion to do it.
Well, I
And then, so it'd be interesting to see if it wasn't more rural thinking that we're immune because the urbans are like, oh crap, it's coming our way, or is it more that it just took a while to catch on?
listen. We have low numbers out here because we don't have tests. We don't have tests. And you were, and I in pre-show were talking about how to get near the president, you have to have one of these 15-minute snap tests. Damn it. To get near me, you should have to have a 15-minute snap test.
So, we're talking
Why
about
am I not just as important?
so
Sorry.
we talked about the big wigs and all that, right? But
Yeah.
Heidi, you mentioned something, and I want to say my son has a friend who goes to another high school, another Plainfield high school, and
Mm-hmm.
she works at an assisted living facility.
Yeah.
And one of the women at her assisted living facility was really sick
Mm-hmm.
and had a lot of the symptoms, but they didn't isolate her. They didn't test her. I don't know what happened. Anyway, she has sent and this place is not that far from our house, and neither is Stateville. So I'm never leaving again ever.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can get together after this all goes away in like
Yeah.
2 years, and I will still stay in my house. But she's a young girl. She's 18 years old, and the patient tested positive for COVID, and they hadn't isolated her. 3 of the staff tested positive, and she's waiting on a test. And
Oh my
she's 18
gosh.
years old.
I think that's the thing that's so maddening is that our president, in order to make money, was trying to make his own test or have his son in law come up with his own test so that they could
Or
keep
figure out a way to, yeah, or just
monetize.
even, yeah, even if it wasn't creating him himself, he was looking for a way to
For
make
him
money
or
on
one of his
this.
buddies to make
Yep,
it's just like when he tried
to
to
make a buck.
corner the market on the vaccine a few weeks ago last month, trying to coerce the German researchers into selling him their vaccine. Are you freaking kidding me? That's because he would like to use it just on his buddies, and if we want it, it's going to cost us a fortune, or our insurance companies a fortune, or not allow what he calls shithole countries to have the vaccine.
Or and that leads to wonder and concern. It leads to conspiracy theories and all these kinds of crazy things, which is not what a country needs right now.
No, we need leadership, clean,
We need
clear,
honesty.
clean
It was funny,
hands leadership.
as we talk about JB Pritzker at the beginning of the show, just mentioning him. It's always interesting to follow the Facebook live feed because people comment,
Yes.
and following those comments is just always kind of interesting.
Yeah, the further downstate, the redder the comments get. It's really disgusting.
It
Yeah.
is. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something. Oh, Sugar Puff! I
Sorry.
slipped my mind. He said something, and it tied into what we were talking. All right, I apologize to our listeners and to you, Heidi. I don't know. My brain just sort of short circuited.
That's okay. Reading some of the comments from my local neighbors, somebody that I know professionally in my line of work, can't stand him because he's a Democrat. And yet he keeps wanting answers. Why isn't there no answers? Are there no answers for downstate? There are plenty of answers for downstate. So you have
You're
to.
just not listening.
You're not listening.
You're not
You're
hearing.
not wanting to hear it. And I had another guy that said, something really horrible about him, and I said to him, we don't need to be friends on Facebook anymore because he's looking out for your life and my life, and if you can't respect that at the very base level, we don't need to be friends anymore. And I just click the little button, get rid of him. This guy wants to be a Darwin Award winner, and I don't. And our governor is trying to keep us all safe, and Illinois is working on flattening that curve. But here's one thing that I really want to talk to you about is we talked about the disparity in the rich people kind of brought it back like a chemtrail to the entire world. And it's the people who are gig economy workers and what they call essential workers, which are grocery store clerks and stuff, that have to deal with it.
Daycare.
Yeah, well, they're the ones that are in the front line of this, and they're keeping our economy going for $11 an hour, $9 an hour, $8.75, whatever it is.
They're
Yeah,
the ones who are going to have less likely to have insurance, particularly in those
yes,
states like Kentucky, Florida, Georgia, those
Texas.
states that turned down the Medicaid
Yeah.
expansion.
Well,
And they're the ones that are more likely to have, and you see that in the hot spots that are popping up in areas that
yeah.
you wouldn't anticipate that.
Well, yeah, there's places like in South Dakota which has a big red dot in it, and South Dakota did not take Medicaid expansion. You also see it in other. We talked a lot because I was in Kansas quite a bit in September, and how I told you it could be a couple hours between hospitals at least. Well, you have 48,000 people in Kansas. 48,000 people, which is about
That's
70.
all in the whole state.
No, about 70%
Oh,
of their state, 48,000 people, which is about 17%, have no insurance and they have no access to health care. And they can't even do telemed health care because they don't have broadband. And I told you when we're driving through there, I'm counting the distance, like the hours between hospitals as we're driving through Kansas, which is the word vast and Kansas go together. I was stunned at how far you had to go to get medical help, to get broadband access. And you know what the number one TV station is in these rural areas, Marie? Guess what?
no.
Fox News.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure.
yeah, and it's like, my Jim Rohn, the late Jim Rohn, used to say, Heidi, you got to be smarter than that, and that's what I would say to Kansas, Texas,
Gotta be
Missouri. You
smart.
gotta be smarter than that. Rick DeSantis, you gotta be smarter than that.
But it
Holy
comes down to
cow!
greed. It comes down to greed.
It
Let's face it.
well in
You
the
know, and lack of personal responsibility, perhaps. You
partisan
know,
politics has played a huge issue in this because I ran into someone today online that said, "Oh, it's a Democratic hoax. They're just trying to impeach the president again." Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I seriously. Um, I guarantee you, COVID-19 is not partisan.
can, can we all just agree at this point that anyone who continues to support the president, regardless of why they have chosen to support the president, but still chooses to support the president, is not worth our energy and is an absolutely horrible human being? Can we just agree to that? Can we please? Like, I don't see how any person that, and yes, brainwashing, culting, and believe me, I'm the
Yeah.
person who puts themselves in other people's shoes more than anyone else. And at this point, I really, honestly, truly, in all of my heart, just think that anybody that is still Team Trump is a horrible human being.
You know
That's
what,
it.
Murray? I have. You know that I talk to Trumpers all the time, and it comes down to
Oh, so do I.
racism, bigotry, and anti-abortion. Yeah,
Sexism.
sexism,
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's
anti-abortion.
not forget misogyny,
Well, of course,
toxic
misogyny.
masculinity.
Yes, it is very
A lot of
toxic.
that.
Yeah, a lot of toxic masculinity. But I, at the very bottom, at the very basis level, they are white supremacists, and they really feel because in Chicago, 70% of the deaths have been African American, Black Americans, and that's sad. And the reason it's so high is because those are the people who can't afford to take a day off work, who live in the poorest conditions, who have the least amount of access to health care. The least of these, as Jesus would say. And I'm going to invoke that because this is Holy Week for us, and is if we're going to claim, like a lot of these right wing Trumpers, that we are a Christian nation, then you have to understand that we have done the least Christian thing we could do by allowing people to suffer based on the color God gave them when they were born. And if you're going to say that it's okay that 70% of those people died, shame on you. Shame on you. That's somebody's mother, brother, father, sister, cousin, boss, employee, friend. It breaks my heart that in this day and age, we can't be grown up enough to know that we come in all flavors and colors, and that as people that walk this earth, we need to look out for one another. It 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 hurts. It physically hurts me when people say horrible things like I've heard and read today. And I don't understand it. It's not how I was raised, and it's not how I raised my children. I can't imagine not
See,
being
now you and I
upset.
take a little bit different approach to this. I, I,
Yeah.
I feel for you, and I know how you feel, and I know how your heart is. And me, I don't go all, oh, my heart hurts. I go, I'm gonna kick your ass. That's the
Well,
difference.
I,
Like,
I,
I'm like, nope.
honest to
Oh,
God, and I'm touching my face here, but I can wash my hands because I'm at home.
right?
And I haven't been anywhere now for a few days, um, but yeah, yeah, my heart hurts, but I kicked somebody's ass today that said something super racist online. I kicked it so hard, I think their grandparents felt it because you can't, you cannot behave like this any longer. This is, this is
Well,
our
they
world.
can. Wait, they can continue to. The problem is, let's hope they all maybe get a change of heart or something else happens potentially, but I don't think it will. So in my mind, at this point, it's write them off. It's forget about it.
Well,
And here, let's go back to where we were originally.
okay.
Stay the
Fuck
fuck
home.
at home. And I'm talking not just about those of you, oh, we're staying at home in our vacation home, or oh, we rented to go to the beach, the big great place. No, stay
Stay
home.
home.
You are screwing those smaller communities, those rural communities who
Yeah.
need your help,
Yeah.
who don't have the infrastructure. You're better off if you get sick being in a more urban area than you are in a rural area.
Well,
For
in the
yourself, for everyone.
yes,
Stay the
home.
fuck at home.
I have that on my my little picture of me that's on my Facebook page. It says "Stay the fuck at home." So if you haven't seen it, I love that. So and I just wanted to say that it's really important for everybody to understand that social distancing starts to work when everybody is compliant. It doesn't work until everybody is compliant, and we start setting the clock when the last person comes into compliance. Otherwise, we reset it, and we are risking having to reset the clock again here in Illinois because Missouri and Iowa are not doing anything, and Indiana and Wisconsin are coming on board late. This stupid patchwork quilt that we have. And here's another thing I'd like to say, Marie, is that our president needs to get off the damn stage and allow medical professionals to get on and give direction. I have
He,
had it with him.
uh,
He's just campaigning
yeah,
for reelection. That's all he's doing. He,
it's
it's
awful.
word salad because he's
No,
got
he just
syphilis
wants to be in
brain.
front of the cameras. He
Well,
just
he's so
wants to be in front of the
so
cameras.
let's give him a half an hour every evening, say 9:30. He can get on and just blow his mouth off. But during the day when you do these pressers, let's give it to the medical professionals. I mean, I can't picture W, Obama, Reagan, Nixon, any of them not just saying, uh,
Okay, just the pressers alone are so chaotic.
yeah,
They come at different times of the day for different lengths with no information.
okay,
Now, the difference is, so when we were watching Pritzker,
yeah.
someone made a comment because today it just so happens the president went on at the same time Pritzker went on.
It
And
was
somebody's like,
yesterday.
why are you on? Or yesterday, why are you
Yesterday.
on when the president is on? And I took
Pritzker was on
everything in my
first.
strength to say, every day consistently at 2:30
2:30
comes out and addresses what's going on.
every
It's
day,
not
same
his
time.
fault. He's not adjusting. He's the one doing it right.
My
But
husband
the
has
White
a
House, even their pressers are chaotic, so
yeah.
you know they have no control.
My husband has a philosophy. He thinks that he deliberately interrupted JB yesterday because we were the channel we were
I think
watching.
I think he does.
Yeah,
I think he did
I
too.
think he tries to interrupt a different person.
Like he did it with Cuomo.
Yes, and he's done it to the to that woman in Michigan. And by the way, I have a T-shirt that says, "I'm that woman in Illinois that supports that woman in Michigan coming." So, yes. Oh, well, you'll have to get one too.
I want one.
Yeah, I'll have her make you one. So, my connection.
You're right. I know you got the hookup.
Well, every time I think of something horrible, not horrible, but something to put on my shirt, I have it made because I live in t-shirts. I had to change out of a t-shirt that said something about barrel racing to do this tonight.
That's right. Again,
So,
I would like to say I am glad that we have this show because it makes me shower. I'm already starting pre-apocalypse hair. as I took a scissors to my own. I can't imagine how fun we're
Oh
all going to be
no.
at the end of this. Well, don't ask. No, I was frustrated. It's good. We're fine. I like it. It's okay. It doesn't matter. We're all going to look horrible in 3 months if we get
Yeah,
out of this by then.
Marie, I haven't cut my hair since 2018, so it's been 2
I
years.
know. I
And
know. I know you have
and
it.
I drink a lot of collagen supplement, ladies and gentlemen, to help my terrible rheumatoid arthritis in my hands. And I noticed that the side benefit from that is that my very, very long hair is now really, 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 really long. So I didn't put two and two together until the other day, and I thought that's why my hair is growing. Like when I was a kid, I had this doll, and you pushed her stomach, and her hair would grow.
I remember
I
that.
think it was called a
Yes.
Chrissy doll. But
I
you pushed
had
her.
one like that
Yeah.
too.
So I've been feeling like that lately, but I'm very low maintenance except for my eyebrows need to be done. And I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. I've had one manicure, one pedicure in my lifetime, and yeah, it's just never happening again.
So clearly, Heidi and I are not the affluent type, and we weren't
Low
flying all over the
maintenance.
country. But if we can tell those of our friends who happen to have some more money, or any of you listening, it doesn't mean stay at home in a vacation home. It doesn't mean stay at home at the beach. It means stay the fuck at home in your own home. Stay there.
I feel like you and I have talked before, Marie. I'm sure somewhere there's a single parent with 5 little children. And here's another phenomenon that's happening that I've been made aware of. Is there are grandparents there are people whose children work as essential workers who are now watching their grandchildren. And I happen to know a family who has had their grandchildren now for several weeks. Their parents are they are high risk, so their children, their adult children that are working, can't come pick up the kids. They have no that's their child care. So the little kids have moved in. The toddlers, the school age kids have moved in with the grandparents who are older than I am. And this is happening a lot in the United States. There's a lot of grandparents that all of a sudden find that they are the caretakers to their grandchildren for 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And it's really, really, really hard on them. Today, JB addressed childcare, didn't address what's happening to the extended families that are the primary childcare for these kids. But when this is all over, there's going to be a lot of grandparents and great grandparents that are going to need a long vacation from their grandchildren. I don't have any grandkids, but I miss my grandcat. I miss my son. But here's what we're going to do, Marie. Is we're going to probably wrap it up for tonight. Staying at home, understanding that this disease transmits with you. You might not think that you had it or have it, but you can give it
And you
to
may
somebody
be
else.
asymptomatic. Remember,
Yeah,
between 35 and 50% of people are asymptomatic.
yeah.
Even 35% of us have the virus and we don't show any signs, and we can still infect those around us.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really
Not
important
even by coughing, people, by
by
breathing.
breathing.
You can infect the people around you. By farting,
Yes.
you can infect the people around you.
So that's why you should wear a mask. I wear a mask every time I go
I
out.
wear a butt mask.
Yeah, do you? So
Kidding.
no, I have I found a huge box of the KN95 masks in my garage and a bunch of Black Mamba gloves. So I'm well supplied.
Nice.
I know, what a find. I think it was from well, I know it was from a barn project from
I,
last
I
year.
may I may have to sneak to your house.
You know what? I can put them in the mail to you.
No, I'm just gonna go rob them. I don't know. So anyway, folks, this coming week we're gonna have another show, and it's gonna be super fun. We are going to do apocalypse Easter style,
Yeah.
or Easter apocalypse style,
Well,
whichever way we want to call
yeah.
it. I personally will be sharing a really fun thing that we are doing for Easter with my family and coming up with some crazy ideas. It's not going to be a normal Easter, but hopefully we'll be able to give you some laughs in the process.
I don't have any children to hunt eggs, and my kids have been adults for quite a while. So I think it's been at least a decade, maybe longer, since I've hidden anything for people to find, but maybe I'll do that. I'll hide my daughter's shoes and she won't be able to go to work. That'll be fun.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I want her to leave her. She works at the grocery store. I don't want her to work there anymore.
I know.
I know. I keep telling her, every time she comes home worried, I say, you know how I feel about it. You can quit anytime you want. She doesn't, she's got enough work to do here and she makes more money working at the firm than she does at Jewel. So, but I know she likes helping people. She's just she's one of those people that just loves to help other people, even if it's checking groceries during the time of COVID. So,
right.
So, anyway,
well,
listen.
Join us this week. We will make sure we do a big push for it. But thank you for tuning in. Remember, it's a wealthy disease that has consequences all across. Stay at home.
It's a wealthy disease that's killing poor people.
So, Heartland Mamas, join us. Like, subscribe, share, check us out. YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, MCAST USA, and you can find us at Heartland Mamas.
MAMAS.com.
Yep. We'll see you soon.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have to figure out how to turn this off now, Marie. Hold on. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm driving today, and when I drive, God only knows how this is going to work out. But I'm going to sign us out now. Take care. Bye.
Bye.